that the most important lesson is execution is more important than planning. Let's be quite clear about it. I mean, this is a management, it's not only for the war, but I would say even management. Ultimately, it is the man on the ground who has to deliver your plan. If our people in the area had failed 3-div or 8-div and all these formations, any amount of planning that we did sitting in the South Block would not have been. And as I always say, test of a plan is how it ends, never how it begins.
नमस्कार और सबको भारत में जितने लोग देख रहे हैं, विशिंग एवरीवन अ वेरी हैप्पी रिपब्लिक डे। यू नो, हर बंदे की जिंदगी में ऐसा टाइम आता है जिसमें ना वो मतलब उसके काइंड ऑफ ड्रीम कम ट्रू रहता है, और मेरा आज है। आज जितने भी हमें प्लेटफॉर्म पे लोग पूरी दुनिया से जो जुड़े हैं, आज हमारे साथ जो गेस्ट हैं वो है जनरल वीपी मलिक, फॉर्मर चीफ ऑफ आर्मी, एंड मतलब इंस्पिरेशन हर एक जनरेशन की वो इंस्पिरेशन है। एंड मैं जनरल सर, आई जस्ट वांट टू थैंक यू सर फॉर डूइंग दिस। एंड मुझे पता है यू आज भी आप काफी बिजी थे, बट थैंक यू सो मच फॉर डूइंग दिस एंड विशिंग यू अ वेरी हैप्पी रिपब्लिक डे। सर मुझे पता है मेरे पास लिमिटेड टाइम है, सो मैं एकदम क्वेश्चंस पे आ जाऊंगा। बहुत से मेरे पास क्वेश्चंस आए हैं, बट बिफोर वी डू दैट सर, आपके ओपनिंग रिमार्क्स, हाउ आर यू डूइंग टुडे, क्या कहना चाहेंगे सर शुरुआत में?
Simar, you and all your colleagues of Hartek and also all the viewers who are watching this program, first I'd like to greet them on the 73rd Republic Day. It's a great occasion and a great occasion to be with you. And let me greet and also wish everyone great future ahead. First thing that I would like to say is, why are we celebrating such days? You know, that's important for us to remember. And I think the importance of such days, when we remember them or when we celebrate them, one is to go into the history as to what all happened, what all we did to be able to achieve this freedom and to have the kind of constitution that we have. And so one is to remember the history which went into making of our independence for the country and the Republic Day. Second is also to remember all those people who sacrificed their lives to be able to, for the country to achieve these things. And the third, which is most important again, I think, is to look into future. You know, these are the occasions when you should also be looking at future, how we are proceeding, and what are the lessons that we have learned in the past and what we need to do ahead. So I would leave these three things with your viewers, that when we are celebrating the Republic Day, please remember the past, take the lessons from that, remember the people who have sacrificed their life, and most importantly, look at the future, what you and the nation needs to do in future.
वर्ड्स ऑफ विजडम सर। मेरे ना रोंगटे खड़े हो रहे हैं सर आपसे बात करके, आपको जस्ट देख के, एंड इट्स सच अ प्लेजर। सर हमारे ना जितने भी व्यूअर्स हैं, अलग अलग यू नो उनके अलग अलग बैकग्राउंड्स हैं, मेजॉरिटी प्रोफेशनल्स हैं, कंपनीज में काम कर रहे हैं, कंपनीज के ओनर्स हैं, मिड लेवल मैनेजमेंट, टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट, हर एक तरीके के लोग ये देख रहे हैं सर वीडियो। सो सर आपकी बात हो और कारगिल के बारे में बात ना हो तो ये मुमकिन नहीं है सर। और मैं लेकिन दो चीजों से सर मैं ये आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहूंगा कि प्रेशर जो चीजें हैं, आजकल हम देखते हैं प्रेशर और स्ट्रेस हर काम में है सर, बेशक वो कोई भी बंदा काम कर रहा है। तो मतलब आपके टाइम पे सर जब हम कारगिल की बात करते हैं, इतना प्रेशर होगा सर हर एक चीजों में, तो कैसे मैनेज करें सर? आज के टाइम पे बहुत से यंगस्टर्स, बहुत से प्रोफेशनल्स पूछते हैं, हाउ डू यू मैनेज प्रेशर, हाउ डू यू मैनेज स्ट्रेस? सो क्या कहना चाहेंगे सर उस पे?
सिमर, पहली तो बात यह है कि as you said rightly, that there is pressure in whatever work you do. And as you gain experience, you'll also learn how to cope up with the pressure. And So one is that one should never be afraid of these challenges that come in your life. You can say that during my professional career, probably Kargil was the most important challenge that we faced. And there were other pressures also earlier during the earlier wars. But you learn to face the challenges. That is the most important thing, that you never go down under the pressure. Even if you go down for a short while because of the surprise, like it happened in Kargil war, you have to get up and you have to face that challenge. I think the most important thing I would like to mention here to all youngsters is pressures, challenges are part of your life, and we must never get down, and we should be able to get up from that. And that is the most important thing. We faced that pressure during Kargil war, but as you know, after a few days when we got back to the Pakistanis, we really chased them out, and we got over the pressure. So pressure is a way of life. It must be taken in a positive way rather than a negative way. And there is no question of backing out. One of the most important leadership qualities is that never bow down to any challenge, face them squarely, and never sort of give up under pressure. That's one of the most important challenges that you have, one of the most learning, I would say, for leadership.
सर एक और चीज़ जो हमने एक वीडियो जो बनाई काफ़ी लोगों ने जो देखी उस पे आप मैंने वो पूरी वीडियो भी मैं लिंक पे ज़रूर जितने लोग सुन रहे हैं मैं ज़रूर कमेंट पे डालूँगा कि आपने सर पावर ऑफ एग्जीक्यूशन की बात की मतलब आपने उस वीडियो में मैं पूरी वीडियो भी जब मैं कल रात को देख रहा था तो आपने ये बात की कि आप बोर्ड रूम्स में आप मीटिंग रूम्स में आप कोई भी रूम्स में जितना मर्जी प्लान बना लो बट अल्टीमेटली एग्जीक्यूशन मैटर करती है कि ग्राउंड लेवल पे एंड दिस इज सो ट्रू फॉर बैटलफील्ड आल्सो दिस इज ट्रू फॉर एवरीथिंग इन लाइफ सर सो मतलब सर आपका उस पे मैं थोड़ा सा और ओपिनियन जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि आजकल हम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस में भी देखते हैं सर कि हम आइडियाज के बारे में बात करते रहते हैं हम प्रॉब्लम्स के बारे में बात करते रहते हैं बट ग्राउंड लेवल एग्जीक्यूशन समटाइम्स हम मिस कर देते हैं सो हाउ डू यू सर इंश्योर कि जो हम प्लान कर रहे हैं उसी को हम एग्जीक्यूट करें सर इस पे आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे सर
देखो, पहली बात तो मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि नॉलेज इज इम्पॉर्टेंट, बट more important than knowledge is always action that you take with that knowledge. In fact, our scriptures, particularly I can mention about Bhagavad Gita, it says in all human endeavors we must be prepared to face challenges, and what is important is action is more important than knowledge. So you can make any kind of plans, but ultimately it is the execution of the plan. So what is important is how you implement the plan. And here I must also mention that what is important is not what you do in the boardroom, but what is important is what is executed on the ground. Now, I was doing my strategic planning, sitting in Delhi, but the victory came because of our soldiers who were fighting on the front line. And one must always remember that a test of a plan is not how it begins, but how it ends. That is the test of a plan.
मैं ना सर बीच में भूल जाता हूँ कि मेरे को क्वेश्चंस पूछने हैं बिकॉज मैं इट इज ए लर्निंग फॉर मी आल्सो सर मैं बीच में ना बिकॉज वी हैव लिमिटेड 30 मिनट्स सो मैं आई वांट टू बी वेरी रिस्पेक्टफुल फॉर द टाइम मैं बीच में सर कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी आ रहे हैं मैं वो भी पूछता रहूंगा सो दैट वी कैन हैव दिस क्वेश्चन सो हमारे कुलीग हैं सर विनायक उनका क्वेश्चन है सर कि व्हाट वाज द मोस्ट स्ट्रेसफुल टाइम ड्यूरिंग द कारगिल वॉर एंड हाउ हैज बीइंग एन आर्मी चीफ हैज फेल्ट मतलब आपको सर एक तो सबसे स्ट्रेसफुल टाइम उस टाइम पे कारगिल वॉर में क्या वो था एंड आपको सर कैसा जितने आप साल थे हाउ वाज योर फीलिंग क्या सीखा सर उससे सर आपने
पहली बात जो थी which is there in most problems, when you do not know what the problem is, that is the most stressful time. You know there is a problem, but you do not know what exactly is the problem. So the first challenge and the most stressful time, I would say, was the first few days when we did not know what the enemy had done, where they have come and occupied that. There was no intelligence. There was a total intelligence failure. And even our boys on the front line, they were not able to spot कि कहाँ पर दुश्मन आके चोटियों के ऊपर बैठ गया है. So the first important thing was for us was to find out what has happened and what exactly is there on the ground. Once we got to know, which took about 10 days or so, once we got to know, then we worked out our plan. And in my case, we had to get that plan approved from the cabinet also. And then we got going. And thereafter, action on the ground became more important. So I would say that first, get to know the problem, get to know exactly what is the problem like. And then you work out your plan, and then you follow that plan. And when you are following that plan, you have to be a little flexible also, because whatever is happening on the ground, which is again, it's not so much your responsibility, but that of the subordinates, and keep modifying that wherever it requires. Keep advising those people. Don't interfere too much in what they are doing. But if you're asking me, stressful time was that when I did not know what had happened. In fact, most people did not know. Now, as far as my own morale, and I would say, I in Delhi, I always felt it was more stressful, because people would look at you and ask you कि जनरल साहब क्या होगा, फिर उसका we will be able to capture it or not. But the frontline boys, and I always emphasize frontline people, whether it is in business or in war, they are the ones who gave me the confidence that yes, we can do it. And that is one reason why I went to the front line every sixth day, just to talk to them and find out how they are doing. And they are the ones who gave me the confidence that yes, we will be able to win.
सर एक लीडर का काम क्या है सर? हम इतने मैनेजमेंट एमबीएस कराते हैं बाहर से, इतने इतने किताबें पढ़ लेते हैं. आई नो यू लव रीडिंग सर, आपको बहुत शौक है पढ़ने का. बट सर एक लीडर का काम क्या है सर? वेदर वो एक आज मैनेजर है या वो लीड कर रहा है, आपको क्या लगता है सर एक एक लीडर सर, मतलब आई डोंट वांट कि लीडर की डेफिनेशन ये हो कि जो वो कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चला रहा है या कोई वो कर रहा है. सर एक कोई भी पर्सन जिसको कोई प्रॉब्लम आती है, वो आगे से जब लीड करता है, आपको क्या लगता है सर एक ट्रू लीडर का काम क्या है सर?
पहली बात तो ये है, you can be called leader only when you have a vision, where you are taking your organization, where you are taking your team. So the first and the most important thing is that a leader must have a vision where he wants to, or a goal कि मुझे क्या करना है क्या. Without that, you are no leader really. So having got that, now you have to make people do what you have in your mind. What is your vision? So you explain that vision, you explain that goal to your team, and you say, okay, look, this is what we have to do for A, B, C, D reasons. And then having explained to them, okay, this is what it is, then you work out a plan with them and go for the execution. So I would say the start of a leadership is the vision. If you are not able to have a vision or a goal for future, then I'm afraid you cannot be a good leader. So, and what is leadership really is making your team do what you have in your mind as a leader. You have something in your mind, your goal, your vision, and all that. You then make your team do. They trust you, they follow you, and they do what you have in your mind.
सर बीच बीच में क्वेश्चंस भी आ रहे हैं तो मैं आपको पूछता रहूंगा. सर देवदत्ता घोषाल हैं, उनका एक क्वेश्चन है, वो कह रहे हैं हाउ एज ए लीडर यू कीप योर टीम सो मच एंगेज्ड एंड कीप देम engaged with you. सर मतलब वो कैसे हम कर सकते हैं सर कि एक engagement हम build करते रहें. और in case of course the forces, उन्होंने एक question पूछा है देवदत्ता ने, and keep them following you blindly to that extent that even they die for you. Which is not true for professional life, but of course in the forces, in army and in the defense, they उनका जो मतलब they give their life. So क्या कैसे engage रखें, कैसे मतलब उस level तक motivation is कैसे करें सर उसको? मतलब दिस इज समथिंग दैट आई आल्सो वांटेड टू आस्क यू सर.
This is a question of human relations. Okay. Firstly, you select your human resource in every organization. Aapka Hartek organization, I'm sure you select your people when you induct them in. You go through their background, you go through this thing, and you talk to them, you have interviews, and then you select them and all. So, firstly, select your human resource properly. And having selected your human resource, then you try and ensure that they trust you and you trust them. And you try and ensure that they respect you and you respect them. So this is the first
यार थोड़ा सा आई थिंक कनेक्टिविटी इशू आया है फ्रॉम जनरल मलिक साइड, तो आई थिंक वी जस्ट विल जस्ट पैच हिम इन. अंशुमन इज ट्राइंग, एक बार जनरल मलिक को कर लेंगे. यार मुझे बहुत क्वेश्चंस आई जा रहे हैं, तो आप लोग, हमारे पास एक्चुअली सर ने 30 मिनट्स का टाइम दिया था, तो जितने भी क्वेश्चंस हैं मुझे आप बेटर है कि जो मुझे यहाँ पे मैं देख पा रहा हूँ जितने क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, एंड जनरल मलिक विल जस्ट ज्वाइन. कुछ उनके उनके तरफ से कुछ टेक्निकल ग्लिच था. सो हाय विवेक, थैंक यू यार. सर इज जस्ट ज्वाइनिंग. मुझे ये मेरे को, मैं बहुत क्लियर हूँ, मेरे को कोई सुनने नहीं आया है, मैं भी जनरल मलिक को सुनने आया हूँ. सो थैंक यू देवदादा, थैंक यू हेमंत जी, गुरसिमरन जी, नेहा जी, विनायक मैंने तेरा क्वेश्चन पूछ लिया सर को. एंड और भी जो क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट दैट आप प्लीज मैसेज पे, या आप जो भी अगर फेसबुक या यूट्यूब पे लाइव अगर आप देख रहे हैं, प्लीज क्वेश्चन करें, मुझे यहाँ पे दिख जाएगा ये वाले उस चीज पे. सो आई थिंक सर विल आल्सो ज्वाइन. एंड मैं यार ये भी चाह रहा हूँ कि आप मुझे और भी क्वेश्चंस लिखें कि और किस तरीके से हम और पूछ सकते हैं, बिकॉज what we are trying to do is that this conversation on as a special for Republic Day is हम चाह रहे हैं कि जितने भी हम प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में हम काम कर रहे हैं, ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज नो मैच जो हमारी डिफेंस फोर्सेस हमारे लिए काम कर रही है. मतलब हम उनके 0.1% भी नहीं है जो वो लोग काम कर रहे हैं. हमारी हम यहाँ पे बैठ के आराम से एक लाइव कर पा रहे हैं बिकॉज उनकी वजह से है. सो वी आर कंप्लीटली अवेयर ऑफ दैट. बट हम ये चाह रहे हैं जनरल मलिक का जो इतना रिच एक्सपीरियंस है कि उसको हम लीडरशिप से, उसको हम मैनेजमेंट में, उसको हम प्रोफेशनल लाइफ में उसको लिंक कर पाए. सो मुझे आप प्लीज, अगर किसी के पास भी कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन है, जैसे देवदादा दादा आपने बड़ा अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा, मैं भी वो पूछना चाह रहा था कि मतलब कैसे, मतलब इतना कि आप किसी को मोटिवेट कर दो कि वो जान दे जाए, मतलब आपके लिए या देश के लिए. सो दैट इज समथिंग, मतलब मुझे कभी समझ नहीं आया है कि मतलब अनबिलीवेबल जो हमारी डिफेंस फोर्सेस हैं. सो थैंक यू विनय, थैंक यू फॉर दिस. बट जनरल मलिक थोड़ा सा टेक्निकल ग्लिच है, तो आई थिंक ही विल बी जॉइनिंग इन अबाउट बैक इन 2 minutes. आई एम वेरी श्योर कि जो टाइम है ही विल एक्सटेंड दिस टाइम आल्सो. तो मुझे वो स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चंस, एनी क्वेश्चन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट पे, मैं क्राइसिस मैनेजमेंट पे पूछने वाला था क्वेश्चन सर को कि कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट जब होती है, हाउ डू दे सॉल्व. क्राइसिस मैनेजमेंट में ऑलरेडी पूछ चुका हूँ. तो एनीथिंग, किसी को भी कोई क्वेश्चन आता है, प्लीज जस्ट लेट मी नो. यहाँ पे आप मुझे डाल देंगे तो ज्यादा बेटर रहेगा, बिकॉज इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू सी द फोन साथ साथ. तो अगर आप So sir is joining in 2 minutes. Sir ने मैसेज कर दिया है. So जितने लोग भी है, thank you अर्जुन, thank you अर्जुन for it. And again मुझे sir,
can you see me now?
yes sir,
I'm
welcome
sorry.
back. वेलकम बैक सर, वेलकम बैक. आप जैसे सर कुछ टेक्निकल ग्लिच हुआ, मुझे मैसेज आने लग गया कि सर ये 30 मिनट्स का एक्सटेंड हमको करना है 5 मिनट. मतलब इतने लोग इनग्रॉस्ड हुए हैं सर, मेरा लगातार चली जा रहा है वो चीज. तो आप सर आप बात कर रहे थे सर, you were saying on engagement, you were saying on selecting human resources.
Yes. So I said that having selected your human resource, then you have to develop trust with them. They should trust you and you should trust them. And primarily, I would say it is our human resource, our human relationship that we develop in the army or armed forces, that they do, and they follow you, as well as they are prepared to face the bullet also, knowing fully well some of them may or may not come back. So that trust can only come when, again, when they find the character in you. I'm coming to character side, because today everything is transparent, and believe you me, whatever you do, whatever you say gets known. Now, if you have honesty, your commitment, your honesty, your all these things are seen by people, and they are important for development of the trust in each other. So once you have the trust and you have, then they will follow you. I always say there are two things important in any organization. First is the human resource, how you develop it. Having selected it, how you develop it, and how you develop trust in each other. And the second most important thing these days is technology. Don't ever fall behind in technology. Today technology has become very important, and the way people are making more money than the others is because they are following the technology, or rather developing technology. You break into a system, something which is not known to the others, and that gives you success.
सर मैं ना दोबारा आपने सबसे पहले विजन की बात की, राइट? लीडरशिप विजन की बात की, ट्रस्ट की बात की, विजन, सिलेक्टिंग द राइट काइंड ऑफ पीपल ऑन बोर्ड, देन आपने ट्रस्ट की बात की. एंड ट्रस्ट पे सर मैं आना चाहूंगा. आई वांट सर, ट्रस्ट आज बिल्ड करना इतने इतने डायनेमिक वर्ल्ड में, राइट? जैसे आपने बोला कि व्हाट यू से और व्हाट यू डू में अगर फर्क है, और अगर लोगों को फर्क आजकल ऐसे दिख जाता है कि अगर फर्क है व्हाट यू से एंड व्हाट यू डू में, तो ट्रस्ट कभी बिल्ड नहीं हो सकता, राइट? तो सर ट्रस्ट लॉन्ग टर्म कैसे बिल्ड करें? कंसिस्टेंसी की हम जब बात करते हैं, जब एक आपने ट्रस्ट के बारे में बात की और किरदार के बारे में बात की, अपने कैरेक्टर के बारे में बात की, सर इस पे थोड़ा सा और एक्सपैंड कीजिए. ट्रस्ट एंड कैरेक्टर आज हम बिल्ड करते हैं कैसे? एक आज कोई 25 साल वाला बच्चा अगर कोई सुन रहा है, उसके लिए सर आज इतना क्लटर हो चुका है, ट्विटर, एनएफटी, क्रिप्टो, ब्लॉकचेन, ऐसी ऐसी चीजें, कि वो एज ए ह्यूमन बीइंग भूल गया है कि यार मेरा कैरेक्टर सही होना चाहिए, मेरे को ट्रस्ट बिल्ड करना है. सो सर मैं कैरेक्टर और ट्रस्ट पे आपके 2 या 3 मिनट चाह रहा हूँ सर, उस पे प्लीज.
Sivar, human relations are never short. It is not a short-term item. Please remember, these are long-term, lifelong. In the armed forces, we say that our relationship with our troops and our colleagues is a lifetime this thing. So that is one thing one has to remember. It's not a question of आज मैंने अपना काम कर लिया और फिर भूल जाओ. Our netas do that. Good leaders will never do that. Okay, no netas come to vote and they will give you all kind of thing कि ये भी कर रहा हूँ, मैं ये तुम्हारे लिए करूँगा, मैं वो भी करूँगा, and then after that they forget it. No, that doesn't happen. If you commit yourself on something, then you have to make sure that you do that. So that commitment is always shown. And as I said, human relations to be developed not for a short while, but for lifetime. When you take people in your organization, unless you are absolutely compelled to throw them out for whatever reason, corruption, occasional, those cases, aberrations are always there. Otherwise, your relationship should be forever. Forever. And once you have that kind of relationship, then there is always the trust is there. They will follow you. And when you are developing that relationship forever, then you are being watched forever. You cannot afford to go wrong.
सर मतलब वो प्रेशर भी हैंडल करना, मुझे क्वेश्चंस आ रहे हैं सर, मैं बीच बीच में पूछता रहूंगा. सर एक चीज और मैं जानना चाह रहा हूँ आपसे कि मतलब सर हम कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में काम करते हैं, ऑफ कोर्स क्राइसिस, यू ऑलरेडी सेड कि आइडेंटिफाई द रूट कॉज, आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम, डील विद इट. सर conflict management is a very vast subject. मतलब I am very sure sir आपने इतने साल serve किया है कि conflict with your colleagues, conflict with your subordinates, conflict with your higher ups भी होता है sir कि मतलब if you believe in something and the other person does not believe, how do you solve conflict? मतलब आज के टाइम पे हम देखते हैं कि मतलब गाली गलौज हो जाता है, मतलब वो cold war start हो जाती है, but conflict management sir आपका क्या व्यू पॉइंट है सर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट हाउ टू सॉल्व कॉन्फ्लिक्ट्स इन अ मच मोर बेटर मैनर सर व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दैट
So, first thing I would say that, when you are discussing a point, or when you are, having a conflict, don't ever become angry. Anger does not let you take a rational decision. So, firstly, you have to control yourself. You must, you'll be surprised that for a very long time on my table, on my desk, I had just one sentence: I will not lose my temper. I will control myself. Even if you got angry, you never showed it. Of course, sometimes it becomes necessary to show anger, but that is a different matter. I'm saying, but in a discussion, I do not let situation go to a point where I lose my rationality. That happens only with anger. So that is one part of it. Secondly, there is always a good way, of civil way, I would say, is of discussing matters. You try and convince each other. If that other person has got more logic in whatever that person is saying, well, it is for you to accept it then. And similarly, if you have more logic, then the other person also must accept this thing. And finally, I would say here that having discussed it thoroughly, having come to certain conclusion, then you have to accept what the leader says. Finally, it is the leader. And if you are wanting to challenge the leader, then it's time for you to leave.
सर आपने
There is
मतलब
there is that leadership. Having, you reached a point after discussing, after going threadbare without losing your temper, all the pros and cons, and then the leader gives the final decision, then it is your duty to follow that leader. And if you do not wish to, then there's only one way out: leave.
सर एक चीज आपने मतलब मैं अगेन दोबारा सर इस पे थोड़ा सा रिक्वेस्ट आपने बोला कि गुस्सा नहीं आना चाहिए कॉन्फ्लिक्ट मैनेजमेंट और मेरा सर इस पे काउंटर ये होगा कि सर कि एक और क्वेश्चन होगा कि गुस्सा कैसे ना आए सर आज के टाइम पे सर मतलब गुस्सा यहाँ है हमारे नाक पे है मतलब एकदम इरिटेट हम हो जाते हैं तो मेरा सर काउंटर इस पे है कि गुस्सा हम क्या ये चीज ऐसे करें जिस गुस्सा ना आए सर बिकॉज यू आर राइट सर कि अगर आप एक कन्वर्सेशन में कन्फ्लिक्ट में अगर हर बंदा रैशनल हो गया तो सर कन्फ्लिक्ट होंगे ही नहीं ना सर कभी भी तो मेरा सर इस पे ये काउंटर है कि ऐसा क्या करें सर हम गुस्सा ना आए
देखो ये तो मैंने बोला कि आई हैड पुट इट ऑन द टेबल every time I looked at that, so I controlled myself. You can also have a glass of water, जब आपको लगता है कि गुस्सा आने वाला है तो have a sip of water. So these are something, the habits that you can form. And you should go about forming those habits knowing fully well that anger is not a good thing in my job, whatever I am doing. As a leader, as I said, there are sometimes you have to show your anger for a certain reason. That is a different matter. But we are talking about a normal discussion when you are discussing a particular plan or how it is being executed. Most of the work these days is in a committee, small committee, large committees. So you have to discuss these issues in the committees. In your organization also, you must be having a certain amount of committees where you have people from different discipline to come and sit down there and talk to each other. And so you have to form these habits gradually, which comes after experience, that you do not lose temper and you discuss in a very rational manner. But then people know that you are the leader and they have to remember that you are the leader, and final word that you say is yours because the responsibility is with you. the authority is also with you. Both responsibility as well as authority, taking that into account, well,
Right, sir.
the leader has to be followed.
सर वी आर एट 29 मिनट्स, तो आप मुझे 5 मिनट ग्रेस दोगे ना सर? मतलब वो
Okay.
टेक्निकल ग्लिच आया है, मैं इसमें भी नेगोशिएट कर रहा हूँ सर। 2 क्वेश्चंस फटाफट मैं पूछ लेता हूँ। कीर्ति जी का क्वेश्चन है कि इंटेग्रिटी टुवर्ड्स आवर कंट्री, इंटेग्रिटी टुवर्ड्स आवर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, व्हाट इज द सिमिलैरिटी?
Integrity towards your country comes first, always. You know, I passed out from Indian Military Academy with what we call the Chetwood Credo, which said that your country comes first, always and every time. The second thing it said was that your subordinate come next. People who are following you, they come. Particularly, that is important for us in the armed forces because, as you said yourself, they are prepared to lay down their lives for you. And the third is you come last. For whatever you are doing, you are, if I have to, I'm going with my driver and my sahayak somewhere else, unless I make sure that they are also able to eat at that time when I'm wanting to eat, that is how you develop your human resource and relationship, you know. So that is the most important thing. Now, as far as the organization is concerned, it depends on the organization. I was in an organization which fought for the country, and therefore, uh, country always came first, and my organization had to win. There was no question of losing anywhere. In your organization, where it is profit making, now I look at profit making not as a sin, I look at it as a useful item for nation building. If you as an organization were not to make money, then how will the nation survive or how will the nation progress? So when you are doing a job, professional job like yours, Hartek, for example, now unless Hartek organization is able to make money, how do you contribute to your taxes? How do you contribute to your... So do your work, make money, but also make sure that you give the dues to the nation so that the nation develops. And I feel that all corporate houses, they should be looking at it this way, that they are also a part and parcel of the country, like the soldiers are. They are also contributing to nation building, and they are doing nation building not only of their own organization, but paying the right type of taxes, whatever is due to the government, they are paying that, and that is part of nation building.
सर एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन एंड देन I'll मैं आपके लास्ट कमेंट्स लूंगा। सर राजवीर जी पूछ रहे हैं व्हाट इज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ एम्पैथी इन अ सक्सेसफुल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन?
I think empathy is important for all leaders, because empathy is when the other person is in trouble, whichever trouble it may be, you have to empathize. One of the leadership traits I would consider to be empathy. And if you are not empathetic toward the other person, then the trust will not be there. So empathy is important to develop trust between two individuals.
सर मैं ना एक चीज मैं लास्ट आधे घंटे से ना पूछना चाह रहा हूँ, मैं विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट आई लास्ट दैट। सर जनरल मलिक, आपके ग्लो कैसे, ग्लो के पीछे राज क्या? मतलब व्हेन यू स्माइल यू, मतलब आप ग्लो कर रहे हैं सर अभी भी। एंड मतलब आई कैन जस्ट इमेजिन, मतलब मैंने आई बीन इंटरेक्टिंग विद यू सिंस लास्ट 2 days, मतलब आपसे बात करके लगता ही नहीं सर, मतलब व्हाट इज कीपिंग यू इंस्पायर्ड राइट नाउ सर एट दिस एज आल्सो? एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर सर आप मेरे से भी यंग है, आप जितने भी लोग देख रहे हैं उनसे भी यंग हैं, जो आप यंग एट हार्ट है, बट व्हाट मेक्स यू इंस्पायर्ड राइट नाउ सर? वो क्या चीज है?
Simar, I do not know how to answer your question. Firstly, let me tell you that I'm 82. So before somebody says that I'm younger or not, I'm not so young. Of course, there's a lot of experience behind that. And the other thing is, your interaction with anyone, it should be transparent, it should be sincere. There is no double speak, no double indulging in anything. So if you are never indulging in double speak, you're speaking what is in your mind. Now, I look at myself as a professional. And believe you me, whether I'm speaking to a Jawan or even sometimes I've had to speak to the kings or the prime ministers, others also, I always believe that I have to give my professional advice, best professional advice. And when you are doing that, now you're asking me many questions. I'm speaking to you not because I have read in the book or something, may I have read the book also, but because I believe in whatever I'm saying. And very sincerely, and it's up to you to take it or to leave it. That's a different matter. That's not my job. That's your job. But when I'm speaking to you, let me speak professionally, as much as I know, as much as I have experienced. And greater transparency. Sincerity is always visible when you are transparent.
सर मैंने ना अपना फोन बंद कर दिया है, बंद, क्योंकि इतने मैसेजेस मेरे को आ रहे हैं. बट सर आई रिस्पेक्ट योर टाइम. यू ऑलरेडी गिवन मी 30 minutes and 5 minutes ऊपर. सर लास्टली, इंडियन आर्मी हम is making the country powerful as always. सर ये कंट्री सर एज अ, हम भारत की जब बात करते हैं सर, दिस इज न्यू इंडिया. हम न्यू इंडिया की बात करते हैं. सो इट्स अ यंग इंडिया, न्यू इंडिया, फुल ऑफ एम्बिशन, फुल ऑफ to do something really great for their families, for their country. Sir, what is your advice, your closing remarks for the new India, for all the youngsters who are watching you and they love you, sir? And what are your closing remarks and your maybe 2 or 3 words of advice for all the people listening to you right now, sir?
Firstly, I must say that ours is a great country. I'm again reminding everybody. Great country, because I have not come across any country with so much of diversity, and yet there is so much of unity also. I have seen that during wars. We have soldiers from north to south to east to west, and yet I have seen during Kargil war what kind of unity we had as a nation. So we are a great country, and we have covered a long distance. We have achieved a lot. Today, we are the 6th largest economy in the whole world. And very soon, probably we are going to be the 5th or 4th one. And as you said, we are also fortunate that today we have a very young profile. People who are capable of earning, people who are capable of looking after their relations, their other colleagues, and also the nation. So, most important thing here is to continue to work in unity, and let's not fight with each other because of caste, creed, and all. Because we have given them a lower status, we have not really bothered. That is how we've been able to advance. That is how we've been able to progress. And what is most important today is that our nation comes first. And all the differences on account of caste, creed, religion, this, that, and all, they should be left behind. Everybody's job is to work together in a manner that our organization, whichever we have, as well as our nation, moves forward. And if we continue to move forward like this, I can assure you that we will be a great nation. That is what I think we all want to be.
सर थैंक यू सो मच जनरल मलिक. दिस इज, ये जो हमारे पास 38 मिनट्स का, मुझे पता है जी इतनी बारी रीप्ले होने वाला है, इतने लोग इसको देखने वाले हैं. थैंक यू जनरल मलिक फॉर डूइंग दिस. दिस इज एन ऑनर फॉर मी पर्सनली, फॉर द एंटायर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड पीपल हु आर वाचिंग दिस. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर टाइम, सर, and we would love to host you very, very soon, sir. Thank you so much, and wishing you a very happy Republic Day once again, sir.
Thank you, Simarpreet, and all the best to you and all your colleagues and everybody else who's watching us. Thank you. And
thank you, sir.
All the best. He said the most important lesson is execution is more important than planning. Let's be quite clear about it. I mean, this is a management. It's not only for the war, but I would say even management. Ultimately, it is the man on the ground who has to deliver your plan. If our people in the area had failed 3-div or 8-div and all these formations, any amount of planning that we did sitting in the South Block would not have been. And as I always say, test of a plan is how it ends, never how it begins.